you're doing well. Just as I expected.
We've taken on a lot of similar tasks before, you know.
Then let's move on to the underwater part. It's just as I mentioned earlier. We're after colorful shells and coral. Oh, speaking of which, you're both already pretty used to Fontaine's underwater environment, right? Okay, that's good. Just let me know if you ever feel uncomfortable. I'll make sure to stay right by your side. It should be right over there. We'll be able to find something that'll... This is it. We call this thing an echoing conch. It can detect special reflection waves in the water to help us with all kinds of underwater exploration and excavation efforts. Here, try it. Did you notice any interesting places? The echoing conch should have detected some just now. Let's go check them out. Alright, these should be enough. Let's head back to camp. Thank you for staying out here with me all this time.
Ah, Fremine, you're back. I thought you might have been out diving.
I'm sorry, Madame d'Estray. I must have kept you waiting. I can report, though, that the construction of Thelxie is going quite smoothly.
There's no rush. I'm your employer, not your supervisor. And these two are...
Oh, they're two of my trustworthy companions. They're here to help me work on Thelxie.
Yes, I see. I suppose it's only natural for someone responsible like you to have some reliable friends.
It's really nice to meet you, Madame d'Estray. Are you Fremine's employer? Paimon is Paimon, and this is the Traveler.
Greetings, my new friends. Just call me Zuria. You are both so adorable. The sight of you reminds me of little fairies under a cottage roof.
Oh, do you really think so?
Of course. If my child had friends like you, then perhaps he wouldn't have become so obsessed with the tales of water imps. And I wouldn't have had to trouble Fremine here with this commission.
Obsessed with the tales of water imps?
Ah, so you don't know anything about my request yet? I would have thought Fremine had explained it to you already.
Well, Fremine told us that it was a private matter, so he didn't want to just share it willy-nilly.
I see. So Monsieur Fremine is even more discreet than I had thought. As you are assisting him with the project, I believe it'll be beneficial for you to learn more about its vision and history. But it would be quite impolite of me to simply pile all of my troubles on you without your permission. So, would you like to listen to my story?
Sure, you can tell us anything. You've already said nice things about us, so we'll try our best to help you get through your troubles.
Ah, what a lovely little fairy. Then let me think of a way to put my situation into words. I'm sure you're already familiar with the tale of the water imps, right? Simply put, parents came up with a story, painting water imps as scary abductors in an effort to convince their children to stay away from the water. My child is rather special, however. While most other children are terrified of Thelxie, he's infatuated with him.
Infatuated? With a water imp? What a brave soul.
Yes, he told me that he thought the water imp might have just been misunderstood. In his mind, instead of singing to abduct children, the water imp actually sang out of a longing for companionship. As a result, he often goes near the water in secret.
Huh. So he wanted to become friends with the water imp so it wouldn't be lonely any longer? What a unique way of thinking.
Thank you, little Paimon. He indeed has always stood out from the crowd. He was actually diagnosed with loneliness syndrome when he was only 8 years old. It's a type of mental disorder. Those affected by it often feel extremely lonely and lose interest in many mundane activities. The syndrome is probably what made him so determined to become friends with the water imp.
Oh no. Is it a very serious disorder?
If you were to become afflicted with the disorder, Paimon, you would only be able to say less than a fraction of the words you're saying to the traveler now.
No! Paimon won't accept that! We would have to find a doctor to help cure Paimon. Paimon has a 2,000-word quota for daily conversations with the traveler, and she won't settle for a single word less!
The family doctor has already begun to treat my son, but since the disorder is rare, there aren't many good regimens for treatment. He's also developed some new symptoms lately, such as uncontrollable delusions.
Huh? Uncontrollable what now?
Uncontrollable delusions. To put it simply, he can no longer differentiate between fantasy and reality, and spends all his time in his fantasy world.
Then what is he seeing in his fantasy world?
It's a dream that he often mentioned to me when he was younger. I've compiled what I could understand of his recent rambling. It goes a bit like this.
Amazing! Your son came up with all of this? He really crafted a lovely fairy tale world for Thelxie. It's like a beautiful dream.
But perhaps no beautiful dream can ever last long. You see, the story ended with a twist.
How could the story end like this? Is that kind of fantasizing what caused your son to develop his loneliness syndrome?
Well, it'd be more accurate to say that it was the syndrome that caused such terrible delusions to manifest. But in any case, The biggest problem is the patient eventually loses themselves to the fantasy world of their own creation.
My poor child can no longer differentiate between imagination and reality. He's begun to see himself as Thelxie.
Perhaps in his mind, the loneliness he felt became the same as that of a prince who lost everything he ever loved or stood for.
What? So that's what you meant by uncontrollable delusions. Then we have to help him snap out of it.
Alas, most of the time he acts as if he can no longer sense or interact with the real world at all. I've had several discussions with the doctor, and we think it is best to try to guide his fantasy. He once wanted to make a picture book of his imaginary world, but since the disorder progressed too quickly, he never quite got past the first page of the book. If we could use this book as a breakthrough for his condition... Here, you can take a look.
Ah, so Zuria's son also saw Thelxie as a penguin. Oh, he looks so sad.
What we should do now is help him complete this picture book. However, we'll lead the story to a different ending. One where the Water Imp Prince is eventually able to restore his kingdom with the help of his friends. We'll need to chase away his loneliness and sorrow, and let him perceive a world full of hope again. That's what I mean by guiding his fantasy.
But if we just need to finish the picture book, why does Fremine need to make a Thelxie as well?
Because we need to treat the book's story seriously, as if it's a history of things that have really happened. We'll need to go on a journey like Thelxie, and help him regain his crown and country. But my child can no longer go on a journey of his own. This is why I commissioned Fremine here to craft a Thelxie, and then I'll paint the journey with this Thelxie into the picture book.
Ah, like a stand-in for your son! Paimon's starting to get it now. Oh, you really put a lot of thought into this, Zuria. Paimon still has one question, though. Where will we be able to find a Water Imp Kingdom?
There are some ruins on the seabed of the Thelxie Plains. I've already asked Fremine to research them for me. We'll be able to use one of the ruins as the kingdom.
Oh, so we'll just need to act out a performance of, a brave journey through the Kingdom of Water Imps. As long as we chase away the monsters in the ruins, it'll count as chasing away the monsters in the Water Imp Kingdom, right?
Sadly, no. We won't just be putting on a performance. It's just as Zuria said. We need to take this seriously. And the only way we can take this seriously is if we choose to believe everything that's happening is real.
So we'll be playing it straight? Or, making it a fully immersive experience? Oh, neither of those really sound right. Well, either way, we'll still be able to help, right?
It's all right. There's no need to get that serious. It's not a big deal. I believe in my son. We can just see this as him wanting to stay asleep for a bit longer, because he's so enamored with his dream.
Zuria.
Keep your spirits up, everyone. If we were to look troubled, my son is sure to become anxious as well. I should be heading back right about now to check on my son. We temporarily moved to a place on the hill over there, so my son will have a better spot to convalesce. It's not far from the water, and there's also a great view. Feel free to come find me if anything urgent comes up.
Understood. There's also one last thing. Since these two friends were able to help me out, I've made some more progress on Thelxie. I estimate that he should be ready sometime tomorrow.
That's great news. I must thank you all. With that in mind, how about we meet here in 2 days' time to head to the Kingdom of Water Imps? All right, everyone. Let's meet again in another 2 days.
Zuria sure is a brave and optimistic lady. Fremine, do you think her plan will work out?
let's discuss that over by the tent. There were a few things that I didn't bring up because the Madame was here.
What is it, Fermine? What did you want to say?
If you don't mind me asking, I would like the two of you to mentally prepare yourselves. This is the first time that you've met anyone with the syndrome, right? I know you two are both really strong and will do everything you can to help the child. But with the syndrome being the way it is, if things don't quite turn out as we wish, I hope you'll be able to accept the outcome and not put too much blame on yourselves.
Fermine, why do you bring this up all of a sudden? Didn't we just promise Zuria that we'll be optimistic about everything working out?
It's not that I'm not optimistic. It's just...
Ah, so that's why you looked like you knew exactly what she was talking about. Wait, Fermine, don't tell Paimon that you also...
No. Please don't misunderstand. I've never had it. I've just seen many cases of it at the House of the Hearth, back when we lived under the previous director. They say there are many factors surrounding the development of this illness. I've heard everything from hereditary factors and one's state of mind, to environmental factors, and even ley line disorder effects. Some even say it could be caused by contamination from god remains. And from the cases I've seen, there weren't many positive outcomes. In the worst cases, the patient could even pass away.
What? It could get that serious? And here Paimon thought they'd just stop talking as much.
Yeah, that's just the nature of it. So if you'll find it difficult to cope with the worst case scenario, I would prefer that you back out right now. I don't want you to help only to feel like you failed.
Hey, now's not the time to be joking around! Don't worry, Fermine. No matter how hard it might get, we'll be able to handle it.
Really? Then in that case, let's see this real-life fantasy adventure together to the end.
Yeah! But Paimon has a question. If this illness can really be as bad as you've described, then do you really think Zuria's method will be able to help? After all, we'll just be using a toy as Thelxie and some ruins as the Kingdom of Water Imps. The whole adventure will only be turned into a picture book for her son to read.
Well, I think it should be able to do something. To harbor a fantasy means that the child wants to save himself somehow. The only reason he's allowed his dream kingdom to fall is because he's lost control of his heart. But if we can help him regain control and escape from the darkness, we'll be able to change his world. Like helping someone who's lost their voice be able to speak again.
Oh, Paimon sees what you're saying now. Huh. How do you understand all of this so well, Fremine?
Well, maybe because I have also had many of my own dreams in the past. I even had my own fairy tale world, much like that boy's. I was able to draw a lot of support from it, so I believe in the power of fantasy worlds. So you remembered.
What Penguin Town? Why doesn't Paimon remember? Is that also a fairy tale world? Don't leave Paimon in the dark! Hey, why did you put that on?
It's just one of my personal quirks. Please pay it no mind. Anyway, Penguin Town is a peaceful place with lots of penguin residents. They're all really good at making clockwork toys. And Pear is the town's triumphant hero, as well as the one who quietly protects the whole place.
Pear? But didn't you make Pear yourself?
Well, I often think that Pear only came to me because he realized how much I needed him. So it's not so much that I made Pear, as Pear chose me as his friend.
Fremine, are you sure you're not losing control of your fantasies as well?
No, I don't think so. I can still differentiate between fantasy and reality. I just believe that the fairy tale world of my dreams must also exist somewhere. It might just be hidden, which is why it's difficult to see. Or it will only reveal itself at very specific times.
Specific times? Like when you put on your diving helmet?
Yeah, that's the general idea of it.
Really? Paimon just said that because you put on your helmet.
Have you ever observed the surface world from underwater? It's as if you're viewing a whole different world from the outside. It's a very surreal feeling. Both alienating, but also as if you're being protected by something. I have a similar feeling when I put on my diving helmet. In those moments, it's possible to see some truly wondrous things, as if a fairy tale has become reality. It's almost like a sort of miracle.
Really? Like a miracle?
Well, if that's in order.
Hey, don't you still need time to work on Thelxie's weapon? We don't want to keep you from finishing your commission.
Right. I still have to collect some tools I'll need to craft the weapon. I've got to finish everything before tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me, Paimon. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities for you to try my helmet. Thanks for all of your help. I'll be off for now. Let's meet up here again in 2 days.
meet up with...
Is your child feeling any better?
Thank you for your concern, Fremine. His condition is fairly stable. The family doctor said we might be able to take him out for a stroll today.
Zuria, Fremine, we're here!
Seems like everyone's arrived now.
Not quite. Aren't we missing someone? But Paimon has a guess where he might be. Hey, Thelxie! Whoa! Thelxie's got himself a sword and a shield now. He's looking sharp.
Indeed. With his weapons in hand, Thelxie looks more formidable than ever. You've really outdone yourself, Fremine.
We helped you!
Yes, you really had a good eye for materials. Everything you found was high quality. Speaking of which, Zuria just told me that she wants to end the adventure with the coronation ceremony. So, could I also trouble you with finding some materials for the crown? You can just keep an eye out for them on our way to the ruins. I was planning to collect the materials myself, but then I realized you might be able to find some prettier ones than what I could get my hands on.
Seems like everything's ready to go. Shall we head out?
Please wait a moment. I was just thinking. Since Thelxie has already shown us his brand new appearance, we may already be able to draw a new page in the picture book. What do you think?
Ooh, Paimon's excited now!
Why don't we use the story we know as a reference? Just make the atmosphere a bit less grim.
So we'll take out the sad parts and replace them with happier stuff? Sounds great to Paimon!
All right, I'll give it a try. I'm not very adept at drawing, but I've seen a lot of art during my work. Now, as far as the actual content of the drawing, please tell me what you'd like to see.
Let me think. We can draw the weapon. The prince has picked up the Sword of Courage and the Shield of Perseverance, which proves he has crossed the mire of doubt, and now is ready to wage war against the darkness.
Okay, I'll add the weapons. Anything else?
Paimon wants to give him some friends. Thelxie's got some friends by his side now, so he's no longer fighting alone.
Okay, I'll also draw some companions. Anything else? Color. Ah, color, yes, that's really important. The road in front of him now will no longer be just grayscale, but bursting with color and hope. Who would have thought the page could have become so inspiring? How wonderful! Splendid ideas, everyone!
Great! Everyone looks super pumped up. Thelxie most of all.
Are you seeing this, my son? Are you feeling inspired by this as well?
I'm sure he is, Zuria. And this is still just the first page.
That's right! Paimon can't wait to see the picture book when it's all finished. We should finish it as soon as possible and keep up the belief and hope in our hearts.
Mm-hmm. I'm starting to look forward to it as well. So let's get the show on the road and head towards the Kingdom of Water Imps.
Yay! Thelxie's fantastic adventures begin